Section 8.7, our objective. I can solve application problems using trig ratios. So in our station activities, we learned about the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. So remember that, let's say this is a building, and this is a person looking up at the top of the building. So we'll call this the line of sight. And then there is a horizontal line that is even with the bottom of the building. So the angle formed by the line of sight and the horizontal is called the angle of elevation because the person is looking up. Okay, now a person at the top of the building, looking down forms an angle with the horizontal. Here's the horizontal to that top of the building. And this is again the line of sight. This angle, beta, is called the angle of depression because it is the angle formed by the horizontal and the line of sight looking down. So this is the angle of depression. Okay, so the angle formed by the line of sight and the horizontal when someone is looking down at something. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples. Example 1. At a certain time, a post 6 feet tall, casts a 3-foot shadow. What is the angle of elevation of the sun? Okay, so first let's draw a picture. So here's the post. And we know that post is 6 feet tall. Okay, and we know, let's say the sun is here. So it's shining down. And it casts a shadow. So this is our shadow right here. Casts a shadow that we know is 3 feet long. So the question is, what is the measure of this angle right here? So using our trig functions, we see that we have the opposite over the adjacent. So the trig function that would use those two values is the tangent. So I use the tangent of x degrees is equal to 6 over 3, or the tangent of x degrees is equal to 2. Then remember that we are looking for the measure of an angle. So that means that we have to use the inverse function. So on our calculators we do tan inverse of 2 equals our angle. So on our calculator we plug that in and we round it to the nearest whole degree, and so we get approximately 63 degrees. Okay. Okay, we can also use trig functions to find the length of something. So for instance, number 2, it says from a point 80 meters from the base of a tower, the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 28 degrees. How tall is the tower? Okay, so let's draw a picture. So we're going to let this be the tower. And that's what we don't know. But we know that from a point 80 meters from the base, the line of sight forms an angle of 28 degrees. Right, so now that we have our picture, what we do is we step back and we say, okay, which trig function can I use here? Well, again, we know the opposite over the adjacent, so we can use the tangent ratio. So the tangent of 28 degrees is equal to x over 80. Now we want to solve for x, so now we multiply both sides by 80. So we get x is equal to 80 times the tangent of 28. And so if we plug that into the calculator, and if we round it to the nearest integer, we get x is approximately 43 meters. Okay, so that means the tower is about 43 meters tall.